How do you get people's attention when they don't want to listen to you? Now, let me rephrase that. How do you get your customers' attention when they don't want to listen to you?
Dumb ways to die. So many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die. So many dumb ways to die.
Hi, my name is Adesola. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time, this is also my first YouTube channel, by the way. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'll be reviewing brands and the advertising campaigns from personal brands to business brands. I'll also be sharing very useful information about how to build a memorable brand. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't. Like this video by giving it a thumbs up. I think the thumbs up button is down below. Click it so others can see it. Thank you. So first, I think I need to mention that this is one of the most brilliant advertising campaigns that I have ever seen. There are two ways to look at this campaign. The first is the general communication that the company put out about the campaign, which is to communicate train safety in a way that people will listen. Then there is my own angle, which is they used this campaign brilliantly to clean up a mess, and I'll show you how and why I came up with that angle. Just before I go ahead to do that, there are three key things I want you to keep at the back of your mind. The first is this campaign was designed to go viral.
The idea come first, and then the Metro train got on board.
Yeah, Metro are a client of ours, and we work a lot with them. And they came to us with, we need to tell. Metro staff every day observe some really silly behaviours on the train system. And they came to us and said we need an awareness campaign to
tell people to stop being dumb.
Stop being dumb, effectively. And this was a response to it. But also
the dumb ways to die depicted in the campaign were actually faulted as not being entirely accurate. I wasn't really so shocked about this anyway, because I was like, there are some of the ways they should have, like, can people really die here?
Rash of some sort and then kill you. This too is entirely incorrect, as most of the time eating expired meds won't be too harmful, they just won't have the effect they used to. The amount he takes is 7, and that can make him feel a little sick. Number 4 says that piranhas will eat all of you if you're underwater. This only applies if A. there are several of them, B. if they're carnivorous, and C. if they are even hungry. In the video, there are only a few of them, and this means that they couldn't shred him in the way the video says.
It was dubbed the most successful viral ad in Australia.
Yeah, John, thanks very much for coming in. This video has been dubbed, you must be loving this, dubbed the most successful viral.
At the beginning of the video, I mentioned that I was going to talk about how and why I think Metro Train used dumb ways to die to cover up a mess. So let's take a look at some of the events in previous years that led to November 2012, which was the year that Dumb Ways to Die was released. On this day, Metro Train became the official operator of the train transport, and they were selected by the state government of Victoria. Now, they were given two key goals, like a two-in-one goal, which was to improve performance of the train transport and also to prepare for the future. In the first 9 months of their operation, they failed to meet the target that was given to them. However, the government didn't raise any concern as at this time. During this time, they wanted to improve on the punctuality targets given to them by the government. So they decided to update their running schedule so that they can reduce the times where trains had to run late. So around this time, they were able to improve their performance so well. Like for 6 consecutive months, they were hitting the target. And that was because of the move they made in May 2011, where they updated their running schedules. This move that they made in January 2012 didn't favor them so much because a lot of people relied on Twitter to get more information about cancellations or disruptions. Now, to come back and to realize that, you can't actually get these information anymore could be very disappointing to any customer, really. Despite the move they made with the Twitter handle, they still had issues around this time with meeting up with the punctuality target that was given to them. 2 months later, this very powerful union around this time came out with a very strong allegation. They accused Metro Train of taking shortcuts in safety procedures. Now, that was huge. Now, when a very powerful union accuses you of something this huge, you need to fight back. You can't stay silent. So they came out to acknowledge something. However, it had nothing to do with what the union had accused them of earlier. Around this time, they launched a new website which allowed customers to be able to see train delays or train disruptions. However, it didn't have details of cancelled services. And this was one of the things that customers could get if they contacted them via their Twitter account. Eventually, the government had to come in and say something. They raised concerns about skipping stations. They didn't say anything about what the union had accused Metro Train of before. Now, this is what the government said. There have been some instances where the decision appears not to be in the best interest of commuters. So, in summary, 59 stations were skipped 3 or more times a week between April 2012 and October 2012. Now, this was the time that Dumb Ways to Die was released. You can fact check all of these information on Wikipedia. The essence of this is not to bash Metro Train at all. It's simply to give us a good background story of events that happened in the previous years before this campaign was launched. So when you find yourself in this kind of situation, the unofficial campaign brief would be to get attention. Because for you to get your audience, you need to first get their attention. The next step is to identify what the issue is, even if you won't openly admit it. Something about the service or the product is clearly not working the way you have been doing it, and that's why you're in a mess. For Metro Train, they knew they had gotten it wrong, even though they didn't publicly admit it. The next thing is to admit wrong. Your customers are not idiots. They know these things. Some will come after you, some won't. Now, admitting wrong can be quite tricky because you can admit to some wrongs or all wrongs, depending on how you decide to play the admission game. However, play it in such a way that whatever you admit to or you are not admitting to doesn't further damage the brand. The advertise without advertising simply means do not advertise, rather tell a story. One way to do that is to tell a great story that is relatable to your customers. This will just naturally get their attention, and if the story is properly told, you could actually win them over. Now, Metro Train leaked the video a few days or so before they officially announced it on their social media page. Now, you're in a mess already and you're seeking to get the attention of your audience. It's definitely not wise or in your own best interest to be the one talking about yourself. It will be a lot easier if somebody else, like somebody who is more convincing than you are right now, is talking about you. Having a follow-up marketing plan where your customers can actively participate will help seal in the key message of the campaign. It doesn't have to be something as elaborate as a game like Metro Train did. It could be something very basic, but the key thing here is to ensure it is something that they can actively participate in.